Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday Westside Wellbeing with myself, Jamie from Coaches for Change. Today we are going into part 3 of building our strong, resilient core at the start of 2026. So, what we're going to do, just to mobilize those hips and the base of the core a little bit, hands are going to come onto the hips, and we're just going to start with some small, gentle, natural hip rotations. So again, what we can do today, part 3, we're going to increase that intensity slightly compared to part 2 and part 1. And then from there, you can utilize those 3 parts to build your own core workouts, start to add them into your weekly workouts, and you can start to cross reference between part 1, part 2 and part 3 if you're looking for a slightly lighter core exercise into that more intense that we're going to get into today. So just allowing those hip rotations to switch from one side to the other. Not necessarily worrying about counting at this point, just find that range where you feel comfortable for switch it from one side to the other. Just allowing us to mobilize the hips, get a little bit of activation into the glute med and glute minimus, so our smaller glute muscles that live on the rear of the pelvis. A little bit of rotation through those hip flexor muscles as well. As the glute starts at the base of your core, works your way up through your hips and your pelvis and comes all the way up to the top of your rib cage. It's not just those 6 famous muscles that live on the front of our torso. There'll be stuff around nice. So from here, we're going to start to prep the base of the core. So we're going to start to activate our transverse abdominals that live right in the base of the pelvis. So what you do is you think about pulling your belly button in, back in towards your torso, and then think about lifting it up towards your diaphragm, and that's naturally going to lift and expand those abdominal muscles while contracting those transverse abdominals at the base and lengthen that spine. We're going to release that. We're going to do a few of these. We pull the belly button in and think about lifting it up towards that diaphragm, and that should naturally allow you to feel that lengthen through the spine. We're going to go for 2 more. Pull the belly button in and lift it up towards the diaphragm. And hopefully by me just doing this, you could see my torso literally elevating and adding that extra ½ an inch to my height. Really pull that belly button back this time. We're going to hold that position just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely stuff. Hands are going to come down by the hips, and we're just going to start to slide one hand down the outside of the thigh. Just going to start to work into those oblique muscles that run down the side of the torso. And again, just because we're starting to mobilize that core here, you don't have to lean too far down. Just want you to think about sinking the base of that rib cage down in towards that hip. So it's getting a little bit of mobilization across those abdominal muscles as well. Lovely stuff around nice. So from here, we're going to bring it down onto our knees, onto the mat. We're going to stay nice and tall. Arms are going to come up and over the head. I want you to pull that belly button back in towards that spine, zip it up towards that diaphragm, and lengthen back behind you, really stretching that core out. Hands are going to come forward, allow the hands to come down by the side of the hips, and then we're just going to add a little contraction into those abdominal muscles. We inhale and lift, pull that belly button in and up, reach back behind you. Allow the arms to come forward as you exhale and just add a nice natural contraction into those abdominal muscles. We're just going to go for 2 more of these. Pull the belly button in, lift it up towards the diaphragm, reach the arms back behind you. Exhale, come forward and add that natural contraction into those abdominal muscles. Last repetition here. We pull the belly button in and up. Extend the arms back behind you. Exhale, arms come down and add in that natural contraction. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. So from here, we're going to lie down onto the mat. We're going to do quite a lot of lying down core exercises today. That's where that intensity tends to come from. And also utilize that plank position as well quite a lot and go into a few variations there. So we're going to lie down onto that mat. Allow the hands to come down by the side. And we're just going to go into a double knee pull in from here. So lift the chin in towards that chest and then start to pull the knees in and then extend them back out. By keeping the heels hovering above the floor when you extend the legs back out, that's going to keep that extra contraction and load into those transverse abdominals, into the base of that core. And when we pull the knees in, that's giving us the contraction into our mid and upper abdominal muscles. But again, feel free, you could rest the heels on the ground between each repetition. If that intensity starts to become a little bit too much, you could play around with it. You could hover the heels, pull the knees in. Next repetition, rest the heels back down. We're going to go 5 more reps for 5. This is really going to work your hip flexors as well at the front of your hips for 4. If elevating the head feels too much, you can rest that back down on the ground as well for 3, 4, 2, and 4, 1. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. We're going to extend the legs out in front of us. And from here, we're going to go into some straight leg lifts. So try and point the toes as much as you can. We're going to lift the legs straight up through 90 and then lower the legs back down. Again, the same here. You can rest the heels onto the ground to just give that core a little moment of relief. Or if you really want to work that intensity, keep them hovering just above the floor and then elevate back up to 90. Nice, strong work, everyone. If we need to take a pause, you can take a little pause here. Just find that rhythm, find that tempo that works for you. We're going to go 4 more from here. 4, 4. You could also lift the chin into the chest if you want to contract into those upper abdominal muscles a little bit more. 3, 4, 2, and 4, 1. Lovely stuff. All right, nice. Take a little pause. We're going to keep it down on the ground. Now we're going to start getting into some of the obliques down the side of the torso, the internal and external obliques. So hands are going to come down by the side of the hips. We're just going to elevate the chin in towards that chest and carefully just start to slide the hands from one side to the other. So we can start to really integrate into those oblique muscles that run down the side of the torso. Really getting that nice full contraction into the obliques, but also working the abdominal muscles from one side to the other. We're going to go for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely stuff. We'll take a little pause, take a little bit of water on board as well if you wish to. Not too much though, you don't want to cause yourself too much overload on water when you're working into that core, just so it stops those stitches creeping into play. From here, hands are going to come to the side of the temples. We're going to extend the legs back out in front of us. And from here, we're going to work the cycle crunch. So we're going to start taking that opposite elbow in towards that opposite knee. And again, with a lot of lying down core exercises, you can play around with that intensity. So you can rest the heels down onto the floor. You're still really going to be working across those abdominal muscles, across the stomach wall and into those obliques still. But if you lift the heels and keep them hovering off the floor, that's also going to really start to incorporate and develop into your hip flexors at the front of the hips, but also your transverse abdominals that live right in the base of your core, in between the pelvis, below the belly button. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. Stick with me. We're going to go 6 more for 6, 4, 5, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 2, and 4, 1. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. So we're going to leave kind of that front of the core alone for a moment, and we're going to start working into the rear of the core. So we're going to start going into the glutes and the base of the back. So we are going to go into some glute drives here. So bring the soles of the feet nice and flat onto the floor, several inches away from the base of the glutes. You're going to drive your hips up, squeeze into the glutes, and then lower it back down. But as you lower it back down, try and roll the back down vertebrae by vertebrae. So we're working that spinal mobility. And it's also just going to keep the glutes and the core that little bit more engaged for a few moments longer. Drive the hips up, squeeze into the glutes, and then roll back down, one vertebrae at a time. As you drive up into that glute bridge, you're naturally going to get a little bit of a contraction into your abdominal muscles as well, because when we squeeze and engage into the glutes, it's all connected through that torso. We still get that little bit of contraction into those abdominal muscles. We're going to go 5 more. For 5, really squeeze the glutes at the top end and roll the spine back down. For 4, really push those hips as high as you can. For 3, trying to create a nice straight line from the knees all the way down to the base of your core. 2 more. For 2. Last repetition. And for 1. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. Pull the knees into the torso, lift the chin into the chest, give yourself a little bit of a squeeze. That's going to stretch the base of the glutes out and just add a little bit of contraction into those abdominal muscles as well. Lovely stuff, everyone. So we're going to bring it into some plank variation exercises from here. So the first one we're going to go into is some single leg knee drives. So palms set shoulder width apart. Bring the shoulders, elbows and wrists aligned. Step the feet back, take it into that high plank position, squeeze the glutes, and then you're just going to start to pull one knee at a time right into that center line of the body, as that's going to allow us to isolate the abdominal muscles on one side that we're driving the knee forward, but it's still going to work that abdominal wall within that separation between those abs. And this is going to work the arms and the shoulders a bit as well as we hold that high plank position. All right, so we're going to go 6 more from here. We go for 6, 4, 5, 4, 4, 3, 4, 2, and 4, 1. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. Take a little pause. From here, we're going to go into some knee lifts and knee dips, depending on what you call them. It's only going to be quite a small movement here, but this puts a lot of emphasis right into those transverse abdominals that live right in the base of that core. Tend to sit quite dormant in a lot of people, so the more activation you can get into those muscles, the stronger that midriff is going to become. So again, come into that tabletop position with the body, tuck the toes under, and all we're going to do here is gently lift and pop the knees up off the floor and then lower them back down. It's going to feel nice and easy to start with, and then as we start to work into those repetitions, you're going to start to feel that workload into those transverse abdominals at the base of the core. And again, still incorporating a little bit of the rest of the abdominal muscles. Arms and shoulders are activated here as well. And like a lot of the other exercises we're going through today, if you hover your knees off the ground at all times, and that's going to keep that extra emphasis into those transverse abdominals, but also work the hamstrings and the calves a little bit more as well. We're going to go for 5, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 2, and 4, 1. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. Come off the hands for a moment just to give the arms and the shoulders a rest. but we're going to go back into that tabletop position, and we're just going to go into a little bit of a cat-cow. Again, really working that spinal mobility and spinal strength, very important part of that core. So what I want you to do is push the belly button down towards the floor, get that arch into the back. Good, and then as you exhale, round into that thorax, that mid to upper spine. And that's also going to give you a little extra contraction into those abdominal muscles. So we get the expansion through the spine as we get the contraction into the abdominal muscles. Then as we lower down, we get the contraction into the spine. So you should feel it across the lower center part of your back, but also that expands the stomach wall as well. So we're getting that contraction and that extension or expansion on both movements. And we're just going to go one more repetition. And once from there, just find that nice neutral spinal position. Sit back onto the heels, extend the arms out in front of you so we can get that nice long spine. And we're just going to hold for 3, 2, and 1. Nice, elevate ourselves back up, working our way through this one pretty quick. So now we're going to go in some jackknives. So we're going to take it back out into that high plank position. From here, you're going to jump the knees in, jump the knees back out, bend the knees in, drive the knees out. So this is going to increase that cardiovascular output slightly as well. And it's going to work those fast twitch fibers and really just starting to get in that nice deep instant contraction into those abdominal muscles. I'm just going to reset my hands slightly. I'm used to doing this on my fists. We're going to go for 5, 4, 3, 4, 2, and 4, 1. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. And take a little moment. Take a little bit of water on board as well if you wish to. So from here, we're going to go into mountain climbers. A few options really when it comes to mountain climbers. Very similar to that single knee drive. It's getting me, this core workout is. Where we bend one knee in, one knee out, but we can really speed that up. But for me, what I'd rather do is slow it right down and add a little bit of rotation into there so we can get those obliques involved as well at the same time. So we're going to come back into that high plank position, extend it out. I'm going to pull the left knee forwards, but I'm just going to add that rotation. So ultimately I'm taking that opposite knee in towards that opposite elbow here. So again, working across the abdominal muscles, across the stomach wall, but also integrating into those obliques as well. Arms and shoulders are engaged again. Nice, we're going to go 6 more from this one. We go for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. Strong work. Give those shoulders a little bit of a roll around. Give the arms a little bit of a shake. We've got a few more minutes left here, so as much as I want a sip of that water, I'm going to leave it because I can start to feel it within my body, and I don't want that to have a negative effect when I'm trying to really integrate and work into that core strength and development. So from here, that heart rate should be a little bit more increased over those last 2 exercises. We're going to bring it into a plank now, good old-fashioned plank. We've been in that high plank position for quite a lot of movements, so now we're going to bring it down onto the forearms. So we can get into that nice low plank position. So I like to press my palms together, elbows are about shoulder width apart, step those legs out, squeeze those glutes, and we're just going to hold that position here. Nice, try and control that breathing. Try not to allow the hips to sink too low, but at the same time, try not to lift them too high. Try and find that nice neutral position, keeping that nice long line from the shoulders down to the back of the heels. Lovely stuff, everyone. We're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And rest. Lovely stuff. So for the last few movements, I want to bring you back up onto the feet. So we're up and off that mat. So from here, we're going to go into some marching knees. So bring the hands out in front of you, and we're just going to start driving those knees up towards those hands, allowing the knees to break that shoulder line, that hip line. So we're getting that contraction through the hip flexors, that activation to those transverse abdominals, and working into the other abdominal muscles, a little bit of the obliques as well. And again, most abdominal muscles exercises, you're going to get that stomach wall engagement as well. We're going to go for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely stuff. We're on our last movement. We're going to open up that stance nice and wide, fairway out of shoulder width apart, and we're going to go into some oblique leans. So right arm's going to come up and over, lean into the obliques on one side, stretching through the obliques on the other, and we're just going to switch it from left to right. So quite quick movements here, but not too quick. My advice, be quick, but don't rush. Lean and squeeze into the obliques as you get that expansion through the other side. Lovely stuff. Stick with me. It's our last exercise. We're going to go 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 2, and 4, 1. Lovely stuff, everyone. Nice. Turn the toes in, turn the heels in, find that range. Give that core a little bit of a rotation again. Funny enough, just how we started, but think about rotating the upper body a little bit more than the hips. Give the arms a little shake, legs a little shake. Give yourself a little bit of a tap on the back. And good work, everyone. As you can hear, that got my heart rate going. My core's feeling that, feels pretty contracted. I'm glad I left that water alone for a moment. Fantastic work, everyone. That's part 3 of your building a strong, resilient core at the start of 2026. Feel free to take part 1, part 2, part 3, work them individually, start to combine them together. We'll be back again next week. Coaches for Change, here for Westside Wellbeing. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us a comment. We'll catch you soon. Good work, everyone. Goodbye.